Hi, if for any reason during this video you decide to skip it, please go to this timestamp here for a quick PSA on a very simple and free thing that you can help do to help fuck up the evil plans of a very rich asshole. How long have I been here? How long have I been in front of this wall talking about the same person over and over again? Am I destined to forever be trapped in this cycle of stupid? Is it my fate to constantly be dragged back into his orbit? Whew. Oh well, might as well enjoy it while I'm here. Every time I feel like I'm done with the self-help community, they just come back like an annoying pimple. Except this pimple is cancer and people die. See, after my Cut Off Singapore video, a documentary expose on a scammy self-help group in Singapore, there was a bunch of fallout. Some legal stuff, others not. Some wins, some losses. But overall, I was okay with it. I've said my piece and I've done my part. There was no new terrible thing that I could cover that I had not already completely buried with my videos. I was ready to let it go. But these people are just too damn, and they did something I just could not morally ignore. So, one last time. Maybe, no promises, probably not last time, let's be honest. Let's get started. And for the love of the woolly mouse, please let this be the last time I talk about them. For a quick refresher, ThisConnect.Today is a self-help community in Singapore. For legal reasons due to Singapore's stupid defamation laws, I cannot call them a cult. For any lawyers watching this, I'm not winking to suggest subterfuge, I'm closing both my eyes as a joke. Their leader is a man by the name of Kwang. I've covered them multiple times, both directly and indirectly over the last 2 years. Even made a full-length documentary on them. And as stated in my preamble, ever since the documentary was released, they've been embroiled in court cases, amongst other legal troubles I cannot talk about, but am very excited for, because this is my life now refreshing Singapore's public judiciary hearing list. Also, one of Ming Kwang's followers is no longer a member of Parliament. I don't know if my video helped in the outcome, but I like to cry myself to sleep thinking it did. I was going to let them slide since they were already on the radar of the legal system and seems to be on the downhill. That was until I saw this. Goh Chew Hui is Hunmin Kwang's right-hand woman. She was mentioned during my documentary by the victims under the nickname Chew. She posted an announcement on her Instagram about how she had won a harassment claim against a victim of ThisConnect. For one thing, she didn't win. They came to a settlement, which can happen for a variety of reasons, such as a defendant being financially stretched thin. I don't know, like a victim that has lost money to a cult. For another, this is a common tactic for slap suits, which are lawsuits used to overwhelm people by throwing money at lawyers to silence critics. I didn't mention Chew in my previous videos by name because she wasn't a publicized figure. That's no longer the case, and I'm very glad that she seemed confident in all her alleged horrible actions to go public. That allows me to report on all her dirty laundries now, such as her being the other person that tried to recruit me into ThisConnect all those years ago, as well as being the one involved in all those scummy meetups that I covered in my video How Cults Recruit. And when I saw this Instagram post, my question wasn't, what happened? Because I already had an inkling of what happened, but rather, why? See, her followers didn't even know it was happening. So, was she just bragging? She even bought a press release about this, which, as far as I understand, would be a violation of most settlement agreements. Luckily, it was removed right after I emailed them to ask for more details. Very coincidental. It will forever be a mystery why and how that happened. Good thing I have a screenshot. But this illustrates the why. You don't just buy a press release unless you want something to be known, so news outlet will have up-to-date information. So I dug into what these people have been up to in the past year since my documentary, and my guess is these people are trying to rebrand. I spoke about this a little in my first video on the self-help movement. These people have a tendency to throw as many brands and endeavors at the walls until one stick. It's very interesting to me then to see them do the exact same thing when they fall. It shows a real lack of imagination or capabilities to actually change or improve themselves, which is ironic considering their entire shtick is telling people how to change or improve themselves. Okay, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Why do you keep using the same playbook? You guys keep claiming you are ICS certified or accredited, but you're not? You know I can just check, right? Are you guys just addicted to lying or just constantly incompetent or just really want to try to get sued? I mean, I know that ICS certification is essentially meaningless, but it's meaningful to you, so you should want to put some effort into making sure it's like legit or real or confirmed or something. Why are you like this? These groups include woo peddlers, fake healers, mystical shamans, self-help gurus, life coaches, amongst many other titles, which I will just collectively call the New Age peddlers. These peddlers have a history of diversifying their brand by creating multiple different entities, even though all these entities are selling the same product or service, because they can't actually have a brand grow too big, lest they draw unwanted attention to themselves. An example of this happening will be Uri Geller and Peter Popoff, whose scams were exposed by the late James Randi. I've also covered their other tactics in my last video, and all these tactics together are common rebranding tactics that have been used throughout history by terrible entities. It's not exclusive to them. Even the Coca-Cola company have done these things too. For example, no, I can't get sidetracked on this. Just know that the Coca-Cola company does this as well, so that you have an idea of how common these practices are. The Coca-Cola company is fucking diabolical. Historically, diversifying your brand allows you to reduce the attention drawn on you. Maybe you're in Australia and after a controversy with Milo, you switch to Nesquik, not realizing both brands are owned by Nestle. New Age peddlers do this for the exact same reason. Say you saw my video on ThisConnect and realized that this group seems bad, but you still want to find a thing with the same vibe it advertised. So you join Artistry Connect, not knowing that it's run by the same person and thus have all the same problems. It doesn't matter the name of the brand as long as it's selling the same product. It all leads back here. These brands are fronts. The things they are selling you isn't the thing that makes them money. The event fees, the art sales, none of those are actually profitable. What makes them money is exploitation. An example again would be Nestle. Because Nestle is like really evil. The bulk of their profit doesn't actually come from selling you food, because they don't actually sell food. They sell food processing. The brands just make it look like they sell food. But unlike say a restaurant, the majority of their profit doesn't come from increasing the price of their product to match the demand and supply, because the price is relatively stable and fixed. Their products have existed forever and the value has remained stable because of that. Instead, profit comes from reducing the cost of labor, the cost of food processing. They undercut their workers and make unethical decisions to squeeze every drop of profit in order to make their stuff. Similarly, for New Age peddlers, these brands of theirs aren't what they are actually selling. The $50 or so for entry to their events, while steep, is nothing compared to the thousands, if not millions they can get out of you once you're in their inner circle. The art community or live coaching or inner works that are advertised are just the brands. They are selling food processing, and the food they are processing is you. They sell you. So they create brands like Our Creations lah, or Clean Your Toilet Podcast, or Freedom Pathways Works. Make it as unique as you can and as far away from your own name brand as possible. Hide everything. If it looks like I just woke up, it's because I did. I want to talk about Freedom Pathways Works for a bit, aka FPW. I wasn't planning on debunking anything specific for this video. The original plan was just to focus on the process of rebrandings. But then I dug deeper into FPW and it's very fucked up. And it highlights everything wrong with these people. I wasn't planning on doing any investigations, but FPW was just really interesting. I actually spent money to buy their official company registration for both FPW and ThisConnect.Today. And by the way, Ming, Kwang, Chew, I know you're watching. Like, share, subscribe. You can't sue me for this. It's public information. I know you're very bad at legal stuff. Just know that you can't do it. Also, I know you've been telling people that you two haven't been involved in business with each other since 2021 and, well, you know I can just check, right? You have to lie better than that, which is funny how bad you are at it since you seem to lie to people from the very first line. FPW claims to have been active since 2020, but the business was only registered in 2024. Now, there are two possible reasons for this. Ming Kwang started ThisConnect in 2020. ThisConnect was only registered as a business in 2025. So they were either lying to you about when FPW started or lying about ThisConnect being or not being a business, which could be why they branded FPW that way. If it's the latter, well, they'll have a fun time in court. But I really hope the former is the actual reason, because it's really funny, because it would mean they were doing business without being registered as a business for 4 whole years. Were they paying taxes? How can we check if they were paying taxes? Because their 2-day workshop cost $5,000 fucking dollars. I'm sorry, it's not a cost, it's an investment. Because if it's a product, you need to get something in return. But investments are a gamble. You can lose money on investments. Also, it vaguely sounds profound. And speaking of product, publicly, the brand Freedom Pathways Work is founded by Goh Chew Hui. However, the registration for Mastery Resource Private Limited, the company it is registered under, has Kwang registered as the director. The company is also primarily registered as a 46900 under the Singapore Standard Industrial Classification, which is a classification for wholesale trade of goods and products, which they don't seem to have any to sell. They do have a secondary registration as a 70201, which is Management Consultancy Services. Not exactly what they are, but close enough. But that should be their primary business. I don't know if setting it as their secondary business would mean having less audits. Maybe. I don't know. All these means they are either grossly negligent in their business reporting and ACRA should do something about it, hopefully in the same way that IRS did something about Al Capone, or they are fucking lying to your faces. One or the other, I'm fine either way. It is comically supervillain-esque. It's the entire New Age fraud playbook in a single Google form. For the future of philosophical and legal studies into the subject of New Age scams, someone should preserve these pages. Which I did. But it all goes back to just how boring these people are. They have one thing, which is to funnel their targets down to Ming Kwang's private sessions, and they will do anything they can to keep doing that one thing. They will change their names to make their past misdeeds harder to search, or to protect their brand of just being a friendly community organizer and not a life coach actively grooming their next targets, but are so uncreative that the best they could come up with are just variations of their own names. They are so incurious, so self-assured that this picture the man put up on his own website makes me laugh because he paints himself as this master of the ancient arts, but that sword is upside down. Instead of doing anything substantive, the only move they have to clear their names is to spam the internet with as much self-plagiarizing puff pieces as they can and buy a bunch of obviously fake views for his video. They are so uncreative, they use AI to generate masturbatory articles about themselves, or at the very least is written so badly that it seems like it's AI, and then proudly post it under their own names. He called himself a contemporary Renaissance person. Wow, holy shamelessness, Batman. What an ass. So far everything I've said is the traditional hows and whys of rebranding, but times have changed. Brands aren't just companies now, they are also people, and information doesn't travel at the speed of sound anymore, but just fractions of the speed of light over the internet. So when something happens that forces you to rebrand, like a documentary that was released focused on all your horrible actions that also tops you in search engine results, you need to find a way to clean your online image. Reset the search engine, so to speak. Thankfully, the tactics are pretty much the same as the traditional one, where you just bombard the market with your brand, but for very different reasons and outcomes. So, for my very handsome, beautiful and smart laymen and gentleties, I want to introduce you to the term spam dexing. Search engines like Google find the stuff you need through a process called indexing. Search engines sends out things called web crawlers to troll for something called metadata. Metadata includes things like description titles such as the one under this video, edit text like those in the comments you'll leave, like, share and subscribe, and other background data you can't really see such as text and categories. It's all very technical, and web engineers often like to use a spider's web as an analogy. But I'm dumb, so even that's too complicated for me. You should think of it as assigning points. The higher the points something have, the more likely it will rank higher in search engines. There are many ways to earn points, but we're just going to focus on two for this video: keywords and pingback. Keywords are exactly what they sound, a word that is the key thing you're searching for. For example, you search for something like a pink t-shirt. If pink t-shirt appears in the title, it gets 3 points. If it's in the description, it gets 2 points. If it's in the comments, it gets 1 point. The more it's mentioned, the more points it gets at a diminishing return. These points aren't really how they function, but more of a metaphor, but you're smart so you already know that. Pingbacks, on the other hand, are basically actively sharing? How often is your website linked by other websites or people? The more people share it, the more likely it is to be seen as reputable, especially if it's also shared by other people that's considered reputable. It's like the citations at the bottom of a Wikipedia article that nobody reads. Like I said before, there are other factors, but these are the easiest to understand and manipulate, which makes them prime targets for spam dexing. While normal code rebrands are aimed at diversifying results so that it becomes harder to see criticism of a group, rebranding online through spam dexing aims to bury those criticisms in online spaces. You do that by creating as many websites, blogs, videos, podcasts, social medias, memes, and comments as you can, being complimentary about your specific brand. Make sure to ping back against each other to earn extra points. This way, any criticisms gets buried under a flood of garbage because newer things also get an engagement boost that creates more points. Now, usually by this time in the video, I've given you all the bad news, and I would tell you what you can do to fix things. But the sad truth is, there's nothing you can do to stop this. Remember when I said these techniques had been used by others before, specifically Uri Geller and Peter Popoff? The former scam was being a psychic and the latter was being a faith healer. Their tricks were both exposed by the late magician James Randi on live television, and even though their careers as New Age peddlers took a hit in the immediate aftermath, they are still active today because they rebranded. It plays on one of humanity's great weaknesses. We don't live very long. We do more things in our lifetimes than we have lifetime to remember, even less so in the speed of the internet age. And because of that, we keep making the same mistakes, falling for the same trick. My video on Kwang came out just last year. For a time, it was the top search results when you looked for his name. But since then, he had already spam dexed so much, the documentary was already buried. The real solution cannot come from people like me, who make short-term content in the time scale of humanity. This requires lawmakers to pass legal protections and commit to long-term education, to the preservation of history and literatures of our knowledge, and pass them down to the next generation. If you have the ability to contact any of your lawmakers, do so and advocate for them to make these protections stick, but not even accounting for society's lack of initiative to do that and the fact we seem to actively be trying to burn our collected information network with straight up lies. It doesn't really help the people who are being targeted right now. I know it's not really a hopeful ending to this story to hear there's nothing we can do to stop them, especially for people who are suffering right now, but there's really nothing I can do. It's just too much, and you know, Singapore's defamation laws are so stupid as that. So yeah, I guess that's it. That's the end. Yeah, nothing to do. Right, Mersham? By the way, there's something I want you to help me with. It's completely not related to stopping or slowing these people's rebranding efforts because I don't see how it would help. So I would just be making a piece of art in the form of a completely artistic act of satire. In the same way, an art installation like, say, Mask of Singapore run by ThisConnect and Kwang satirize their pet issues with a community-based performance art, I want to community-based performance art my pet issue here. So here's what you can do to help. You might have noticed that the title of this video in the description seems a little odd, and that's because I've crafted them to take advantage of the search engines. The metadata is now filled with keywords and phrases used by some of these legally nebulous new age peddlers. My hope is that this video will get enough points in the search engine algorithms that whenever someone searches for any of the phrases these rebrands use, this video will appear in the search. Legally, I'm simply riding a trend as all content creators do, promoting their own video by latching on to certain keywords, the same way Kwang does it. So if anyone wants to sue me for that, you're gonna have to sue him first. It's marketing. Because he did it first and he has money. These keywords may or may not be related to the new age peddlers covered in my videos. Singapore defamation laws are stupid. So what I want you to do is to share this video, and when you do, feel free to mention people's names and brands that you think are relevant to the story. Maybe even names mentioned in this video and description themselves, and then names for other new age peddlers if you want to share the love, just to really get those relevancy points. Here are some legally non-compromising examples. Comments in this video should include non-specific claims of surprise, such as, "Oh my god, is this video talking about insert name here?" Or "This is my favorite video about inner works ever." Hopefully, when someone searches for the phrase inner works, I want this video to turn up as well, as a marketing gimmick basically. Because technically, and most importantly, legally, this video is also about inner works, and all those other subjects. If you want, feel free to insult me in the comments as well by calling me the following phrases, such as, why is this guy such a scam, which may or may not turn up if you search for phrases like, is this guy a scam? My hope is that just like how people who saw my documentary in the search engines was able to make a decision about joining a potentially dangerous group, people who see this video in the search engines might be able to get a little more informed about if they should join any of these other groups' rebranded names. Because knowledge is power. Or at least, if you let it, it can be. Real Chew. Hi everyone, thanks for watching, and a special thanks to all my Patreon and a shout out to my new top tier Patreon, BBQ. You might remember these glasses from a previous videos of mine. It was in a drawer, I didn't clean it. It's really foggy. I thought it would be funnier if I didn't clean it. It's not funnier. If you notice, this video has a very shameless plug that is also an activist call to action. I was trying to think of something that I could do within my financial limitations, and this was the best I could come up with. I don't care if you call it a shameless plug, because it is, but it definitely will work because that's just how, search engines work. I don't see myself covering this group anymore, but then I said that last time and the time before that. It's my little pet peeve project right now. I hope they won't be around by next year. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please share and comment on this video specifically. I just want this video specifically to do well for marketing purposes. I think Real Chew is just gonna hang out here from now on. Her eyes of constant rage, spite, and apathy really sells this channel's vibe. Once again, thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.